I have seen things. Things no kind soul should ever see, things they don't warn you about in school, and things that will make you wonder if you should quit your day job. But I learned you can either let the monster eat you alive, or you can kick its ass. I choose to kick its ass. As a freelancer, I'm in a different role than my counterparts at ad agencies. I don't just write, I run a business. That means I wear all of the hats. I'm the CEO, CFO, CMO, COO, and any other O you can think of. I'm also the account exec, accountant, and more. That means I deal with a lot of shit. Like the contract gig I held with a large retailer for 5 years, and then only have them file bankruptcy on me, leaving me out thousands of dollars. But somehow they managed to find the money to hire a new marketing director. Funny how that happens. Well, the client that took out my virtual agency team for drinks, and he got hammered, offered me an indecent proposal. A few weeks later, and he's smacking me on the ass. Maybe he went to the Harvey Weinstein School of Business, I don't know. Needless to say, we had to have a little chat. I do find it funny, though, when clients think I don't know what I'm doing, like when I request a deposit up front. I've worked with scores of freelancers before, they'll say, and no one's ever asked for that. Like I make up the industry standards. But wait, why have they worked with scores of freelancers? That's what I want to know. Or when a client isn't happy and pulls the project instead of working with you to fix it. So you send your invoice and they don't understand why. Why don't you just chalk it up to experience, they ask. Because I'm not in the business of letting people walk all over me, that's why. But one time, a client sent me information the night before the deadline, expecting me to work through the night to get it done, yet was not at all willing to pay rush fees. Did I mention it was also a holiday? Yeah, lack of preparation on your behalf, buddy, does not constitute an emergency on mine. One of my favorite stories, though, has to be about a restaurant chain that pulled me in, as well as a designer, to work on a project. We frickin' knocked it out of the park. But the night before it was supposed to go to print, the client pulled it and ended up doing it in-house. That's fine. What they produced sucked, but they're totally welcome to do that, right? So we went ahead and sent in our invoices, and 30 days later, the designer tells me he got paid, but alas, I had not. His invoice was 3 times as much as mine. It just did not make sense. For months, I followed up, and for months, I heard crickets. So I decided to bypass my contact and go to the accounting department. This finally triggered a response from the marketing director, who fired off a nasty email to me. I cannot believe how much time and energy you've put into collecting this, she said. For the amount of money, it's just not worth it. Yeah, see, it's not about the money, it's about the principle. Adhering to your contract, treating people with respect. I did finally end up getting paid. Come to find out, the designer happened to be her next door neighbor. Maybe that's why he got paid and I did not. I will never know. But that doesn't hold a candle to this doozy. I've been doing work for a jewelry company out of LA for nearly a year when all of a sudden they stopped paying their invoices. I told them I need to stop working until they started paying again, and the marketing director freaked out. She called me up, had me on the phone for nearly an hour, ripping my head off, yelling, screaming, calling me names. I had to hold the phone out to hear. It was so loud. But then she made me laugh. She called me immature and unprofessional. So I pulled the phone back in and said, "Excuse me, you're screaming, calling me names, and I'm the one who's unprofessional?" "Yes," she screamed. "Okay, carry on." I told her I'd finish up the current month's work and then we'd have to part ways. I was not about to work with somebody who doesn't treat people fairly. And honestly, nobody should. Treating vendors unfairly or not paying bills can really do a number to a client's reputation. Why anyone would want to risk that, I have no idea. All I know is it's going to be hard for them to find any other freelancer who's willing to work with them. Let's see, how do I explain this? See, it's like this beautiful grapevine where freelancers are intertwined. You pluck with one grape, you pluck with them all. People talk. And might I remind you that some of these very people getting plucked with are in the business of advertising, marketing, and PR. But really, there's an easy way to avoid all this. Having good business practices and relationships isn't difficult. If only both parties involved would be open and honest, communicate effectively, have integrity, and adhere to their promises, we'd all be so much better off. At the end of the day, that's one of the greatest things about being a freelancer. You don't have to put up with any of this shit. You can simply walk away. You can totally fire a client, and it's okay to do so. Knowing that part of the equation is absolutely glorious and oh, so empowering. Let me tell you something. There's plenty of work out there. You just have to find it. Don't ever, ever let someone devalue you or take advantage of you, even if you're desperate for work. It's just not worth it. Hold your ground, demand respect, and go out and find better clients who will treat you well. And remember this, at the end of the day, the next time you're staring into the abyss, debating your choices, wondering if you should let the evil monster staring back at you eat you alive or kick its ass, always, always choose to kick its ass. You'll be so much happier in the end.